Thank God it's just graces.
Hello everyone, this is 17 Stages of Story, and you are watching the hero's journey breakdown for Twisters. Yes, the 2024 legacy sequel, Twisters. It's a great movie. Much better, in my opinion, than the 1996 original. Ha! Now, like its predecessor, you can enjoy Twisters as a standard Hollywood popcorn movie if you want. But on another level, it's actually about redeeming the spirit of the father from the underworld. Again. As usual, I'm not making any claims about authorial intent. I'll be citing the director in a couple of places, but beyond that, I'm not claiming to know what they meant to do. I'm just offering an interpretation of what I see on screen. Or in this case, what's not on the screen. Because the original Twister makes it clear in the opening sequence that the heroine's internal struggle revolves around a father wound. But Twisters creates a conspicuous absence, a dad-shaped hole. Our heroine's father is never mentioned or seen. And yet, the consequences of that absence leap off the screen. At least they do to me. Which means, yes, this is going to be another double-decker breakdown. So, strap in. As always, I'll be walking through the golden path, choosing just one dominant stage of the hero's journey at any given time. I also like to reference other movies in these breakdowns, so check the description for spoilers. And finally, if you're looking for an introduction, then I suggest you start with What is the Hero's Journey, which is linked in the description below. With all that in mind, let's dive in. The story opens with our heroine, meteorology student Kate Carter, looking at the weather through a camera. This is her ordinary world. The weather, of course, is her inner life, her state of inner turmoil. To her credit, she's interested in understanding what's going on, literally and figuratively, but this is her point A. She's one step removed from it. This dichotomy, the tension between studying something from the outside and experiencing something from the inside, is present in the first film.
We have no idea what is going on inside because nobody's ever been able to take scientific measurements from inside the funnel.
And it's a recurring motif throughout the sequel.
Wait, there's a name for that. There's a name for that.
Just watch
There's a name for that.
Just enjoy it, man.
At this point, Kate is chasing tornadoes in the hopes of learning how to extinguish them. In short order, we meet her crew of naive young do-gooders. Here, the story introduces a few key elements. Let's start with her boyfriend, Jeb. He's introduced waking up in a sleeping bag with a dream catcher over his head. In some Native American cultures, dream catchers serve as protective charms, traditionally woven by mothers and grandmothers, and hung over cradles to protect infants from harm. But we're about to find out that the magic of the Spider Woman, the good mother, isn't enough on its own to keep these babies safe once they leave the cradle and go out into the big bad world.
Tell them it's the same stuff they use in diapers.
I also suspect that the Dreamcatcher is meant to identify Jeb as the protective mother, but we'll get back to that. Right now, I'm wondering, why does this sequence begin with Kate waking up her team? Why does this movie go out of its way to show you that Javi in particular isn't ready to wake up? Why insert this beat about going home to be fed by mommy?
She says there's barbecue at the house when we're done.
Oh, yes, Kathy. Thank you.
The short answer is because they're a bunch of children who treat chasing tornadoes like they're out playing in the lawn sprinkler. To paraphrase the poem by Edna St. Vincent Millay,
Childhood's over the moment you know you're gonna die.
when we meet Javi, we learn that he's all about studying the weather from afar rather than interacting with it directly. Finally, Addie and Praveen dramatize the film's central problem.
Come on, come back in. Addie, that's... please?
Ever since you got struck by lightning, you're no fun.
Yeah, well, that's what happens.
Addie is wild and reckless. Praveen clucks at her like a mother hen. Praveen has already been bitten by the spark of chaos, and it's made him timid. This sets up a lightning motif that recurs throughout the movie. Later on, for example, we'll see that Lily is figuratively blinded when her drone is hit by lightning. For what it's worth, the drone is named Cairo, which means vanquisher or conqueror. And finally, when the townsfolk of El Reno take refuge in a movie theater, we're treated to a scene from Frankenstein. It's the scene where the monster is brought to life after being hoisted into the sky and struck by lightning.
It's alive! In the name of God! Now I know what it feels like to be God!
I once heard an insightful critique of Dr. Frankenstein's real tragic flaw. Even though he says he knows what it's like to be God, what he's really done is usurp the mother's godlike power to create life. When the father omits the mother and tries to become the mother, the result is Frankenstein's monster. Back in the ordinary world, our hero's problems escalate when the weather tips over the trailer carrying Kate's tornado-taming formula. Or rather, when Kate's inner turmoil upsets her psychological apple cart. Jeb comes to the rescue, only to be reminded that it won't be so easy to right the ship. Her chemical concoction does get drawn into the storm, but the situation only gets worse from there. There's even a brief suggestion that Kate's formula had the opposite effect, feeding the storm instead of taming it.
How did it become an EF5?
At the very least, it speaks to the universal experience of underestimating just how big our problems can get when we're not looking at them. In this case, Kate's problem grows into an EF5. First, it takes Praveen, then Addie, and finally, Jeb.
I've got you, Kate! I've got you!
And this is the real trauma. Like the original Twister, our heroine learns that her protector figure can't actually protect her. Symbolically, he can't handle the power of the emotions that are already inside Kate. But if they're already inside her, where did they come from? That's why I don't think this is just a simple story about a young woman who's basically fine until a deadly tragedy strikes. This disaster is a replay and a reminder of the crisis of the absent father. On a primordial level, it doesn't really matter why he's not in her life. What matters is that Kate was forced to discover too soon that there are forces in this world powerful enough to make your father leave, by choice or by force. The experience leaves Kate scarred, and I wonder why it's her leg that takes the hit. It could be meant to make her climb up the embankment more difficult, or to show that she's emotionally hobbled. Or maybe it's totally random, but writers love wounding their heroes in symbolic places. In this case, it reminds me of Dionysus being born from Zeus's thigh. Zeus is the patriarch of the Greek gods. His name literally means Sky Father, and his primary symbol and weapon is a thunderbolt. Dionysus, meanwhile, is the god of insanity, ritual madness, and religious ecstasy. In other words, wallowing in pure, irrational emotion. But maybe all this is just a coincidence. We fast forward 5 years and see that Kate has chosen to study the weather from as far away as possible. This is when Javi returns and kicks off the call to adventure. He's also studying the weather from afar and invites her to join his new data-gathering company, Stormpar.
And you're the only person that can get me close enough to a tornado to do this.
While giving his pitch, he makes a literal tempest in a teapot, which establishes a second but more important elemental motif: water. What happens when there's not enough and what happens when there's too much. All this, of course, represents emotional balance. But Kate isn't interested in emotional balance right now, so she refuses the call.
Javi, I don't chase anymore.
This doesn't last long, though. She goes right into supernatural aid when she has a dream, or rather a nightmare, about Jeb being there to protect her, and then suddenly not being there. It's telling that her nightmare is a simple and quiet replay of Jeb vanishing, and not some overblown set piece about the tornado itself. Reinforced by a follow-up phone call from Javi, she decides to split the difference and help him out for 1 week. Crossing the first threshold kicks off with a literal passage across a physical and psychological boundary. They drive under an overpass, and Kate's eyes fix on a nook that resembles the place where she lost Jeb and her friends. Javi takes her to a truck stop where he introduces the Stormpar team, here playing the role of Threshold Guardians.
We want the cells to the west.
The one to the east has much better numbers.
Conditions don't feel right. Cap is too strong, it'll never break.
You heard her.
Guess we're listening to dandelions now.
She also meets Tyler Owens, an online celebrity who's branded himself the Tornado Wrangler.
You didn't say which way we were going yet.
2 cells to the west are fighting over the same inflow. They'll choke each other out. This one to the east is the sky all to herself.
Like Stormpar, he's checking her fitness to enter the extraordinary world, just from a different angle.
Oh, you're a long way from home, city girl.
I really like how the grain silos look like pillars of a gate or signposts at a crossroads. Director Lee Isaac Chung says he deliberately used them to help the audience track which way Kate decides to go, east or west. Once they hit the road, we skip over Belly of the Whale and go right into the first of 2 Road of Trials sequences. I was tempted to mark this sequence as a continuation of the first threshold, because it's Kate's first contact with the weather itself, but I'm going to go with Road of Trials mostly because she's now in direct pursuit of her initial goal. Their efforts end in failure when Kate gives in to her fear and drives out of the path of the storm. It's a nice touch that the trucks in their convoy are named after the characters in The Wizard of Oz, and Kate is riding in The Cowardly Lion. This isn't meeting with the goddess, though, because we haven't reached a definitive outcome yet.
We'll find another one. It's all part of the game, right?
Instead, we backtrack, going into the first of 2 Belly of the Whale sequences, First, we get a callback to the original Twister.
It's good to have you back.
I'm not back.
Kate, like Bill, is still locked into his old ways of thinking. Next, she wanders by the Tornado Wranglers tailgate party, which isn't exactly a cantina, but they're all sitting around drinking, so I'm gonna count it. Here, she's told that there's more to Tyler and his team than meets the eye.
Tyler, he studied meteorology, though.
Him?
Yeah. You know, he's a cowboy scientist, you know. He's got this natural instinct.
Okay, Boone.
He taught me everything I know.
Boone?
So,
But she's already made up her mind about them and keeps them at arm's length.
Well, you can always trust a guy who puts his face on a t-shirt.
The next morning, she meets one of Javi's investors, but is deliberately kept in the dark about the details of their collaboration.
Listen, can you give us a couple minutes? Maybe grab something to eat, and then we can head out.
3 seeds are planted, but they don't start to grow until later. Then it's back onto the road of trials, with or without a successful reorientation. And this time, Kate doesn't lose her nerve.
We're all set! Hey, come on!
They blast through a chicken coop to escape from the tornado, and I'd like to think that has something to do with Kate confronting her fear, but maybe not. In the end, they plant their radar and it manages to get the data they need before being blown away. This leads to an interesting meeting with the goddess moment. A tornado touches down in a nearby town, presenting Kate with a moral choice.
There's a GPS tracker on the radar. We need to find it before it dies.
Javi, we've got to help.
It's like Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. He finds the Shankara stones halfway through the movie, but now he has to choose. Does he roach out with the magic rocks, or stay to help the kidnapped children working in the mines below? Like Indiana Jones, Kate chooses to help the people. This takes her back into Belly of the Whale, where the seeds planted in the first Belly of the Whale sequence finally start to sprout.
You even know who you're chasing for?
What are you talking about?
How much more of these people gotta lose before y'all done making a difference?
Sorry, says the guy setting up shop, selling t-shirts and mugs after storms hit.
It's a rough transition, but Kate starts to get it when Lily explains that their merch sales are used to support relief efforts. The water motif also continues, this time with Kate drinking the water she's given instead of studying the water. That night, Tyler drops by to offer an olive branch.
Yeah, well, you've seen the worst of this place. Thought it'd be nice for you to see something good.
Like we saw in Top Gun and Happy Gilmore, this is the meeting with the goddess for the B story.
Tornadoes, bulls, same thing. Fear's the reason you do it. You don't face your fears, you ride them.
But in this case, our 2 leads don't get together because their date is interrupted by the arrival of an EF4. The timing works on a subconscious level because her growing feelings for Tyler are triggering her daddy issues. It also works in terms of the golden path. This is the terrible external price Kate must pay for pursuing her initial goal. And so, the woman is the tempter stage begins. They make a mad dash for cover that brings them to a nearby motel. The motel tornado is my favorite sequence in Twisters because it's loaded with symbolic potential. Now, your mileage may vary here, but let's just have some fun and see what you think. The entire run-down, broken motel is a model of Kate's disordered psyche. Symbolic settings like this are incredibly common. In fact, we just saw it in the Happy Gilmore breakdown when our hero takes his love interest into the hockey rink. Once there, she helps him to let go of his childhood trauma. By the end of this sequence, we'll see that Tyler does much the same thing for Kate. So let's take it from the top. First of all, a motel is a kind of fake home. Twisters sets the stage for this particular motel by establishing that it has 4 problems.
Nothing works in this shithole. Now the cable's out. I can't get a soda from the vending machine. The pool's empty as shit.
Do you have a storm shelter?
Man, the AC's blowing hot air. Can I get a refund going here?
3 of these problems are related to wind, water, and temperature, all key ingredients of a tornado. The complaining boyfriend is depicted as weak, and his girlfriend is in denial even as the sirens blare.
Okay, there's no tornado.
Which mirrors Kate's initial blindness to her own inner turmoil. Meanwhile, we learn 2 things about the motel clerk.
I just started working here.
He's not in charge and he doesn't know what to do. He's not the king of this castle, which could be telling us something about Kate's actual father, but it also gives off mom's new boyfriend vibes. Either way, he's also weak. So when the tornado eventually breaks through, it's up to Kate to save herself. She and Tyler lead everyone to an empty swimming pool, but the complaining boyfriend tries to solve the problem by running away from it. This leads him and his girlfriend to their demise, which is symbolically correct and, of course, calls back the opening sequence in that the boyfriend is unable to protect his girlfriend. Kate and the others make it into the empty swimming pool, a massive vessel that's supposed to be filled with water, but isn't. If that's not enough to reinforce the water as emotional balance motif, the broken soda machine eventually falls into the pool. This mirrors what Kate is literally trying to do with tornadoes, mess around with the amount of water and moisture until she finds the balance that tames the storm. Any other object could have fallen into the pool, but they chose a liquid dispensing device that was incapable of actually dispensing liquid. I'm just saying. The soda machine also nearly kills the motel clerk, which could imply some kind of anger, resentment, or conflict with the absent father. And notice that the scene plays out almost exactly like the opening scene of Twister. A man is pulled into the storm, while a mother and daughter survive. The mother, meanwhile, repeats the same dialogue to her daughter that Jeb said to Kate. This is, of course, a callback to the opening scene, but I think it's more than that. For starters, why is it a mother and a daughter instead of the boyfriend and the girlfriend? We already saw that parallel a minute ago. So this beat is telling us something else, something more. I think it's telling us that Kate is reliving a different trauma, the trauma of the absent father, which forced her mother to take on both parental roles, also comparable to what we saw in the Happy Gilmore breakdown. This confusion, in turn, is what caused Kate to choose a partner who embodied the spirit of the protective mother instead of the protective father. Whatever you make of all this, I can confirm that Lee Isaac Chung says in the film's commentary track that the daughter is meant to represent Kate. Deep down, she's still just a frightened little girl. But why should she still be a frightened little girl if the love and protection of her mother was enough? We'll come back to this when we meet Kate's mom. Our heroes survive by clinging to the guts of the empty pool, the deeply rooted water pipes. This is more belly of the whale stuff. They go down into the realm of the subconscious, are symbolically devoured, and come out the other side. The last thing I'll say about the pool sequence is that it ends with Kate and Tyler intimately close, skin glistening, eyes wide, panting, and out of breath. And I'll leave it to you to decide what that reminds you of. Javi arrives shortly after Kate emerges from the pool and they get into a fight about Stormpar's shady investor.
Is profiting off of people's tragedy part of your business plan?
Javi hits back with a counter-accusation that touches a nerve because it has a kernel of truth to it.
How about losing 3 of my best friends while you were trying to land a big fat grant for your science project?
Not that Kate was some greedy schemer who deliberately put people in harm's way, but that she naively marched everyone into danger, blinded by her starry-eyed idealism. This kicks off our atonement with the father. Kate runs back to mommy where the story spends a few seconds of precious screen time showing her taking a big drink of water. If this didn't mean something, it would have been cut. She doesn't call ahead and she doesn't knock. She just sneaks in under the cover of night, and her mom's introduction, a shadow in the darkness, is like something out of a horror movie. Here, we finally get to see Kate's exposed scar and the conspicuous absence of any fatherly presence in her past. We also get a flashback that contains at least 2 critical beats. First, when Jeb talks about killing a tornado, Kate corrects him.
We're going to kill a tornado, right?
We're taming a tornado.
Second, she starts twirling around like she is the tornado, and Jeb responds by spinning around as if he's the one caught inside it, reinforcing that this isn't just about a well-adjusted young woman who gets PTSD in the wake of a deadly tragedy. Back in the present, we get to see a little more of Kate's relationship with her mom. It's already been established that Kate has been avoiding her mom since her friends died. But why should the death of her friends have driven a wedge between Kate and her mother? People move away from home all the time and still keep in touch with their family. And if her mom had been this amazing bastion of emotional support, why would Kate turn away from this invaluable resource in her moment of greatest crisis?
You done? I gotta get this.
It might have something to do with the fact that single parents often transfer the duties of the absent spouse onto the child.
It's funny, I keep seeing more and more tornadoes, and floods and droughts, and price of wheat and seed going up and up and up. But I'm still here.
I'm sorry, Mom.
I'm still waiting for you to save the world.
Kathy Sr. has placed a terrible burden on her daughter. Wait, what? Yeah, Kate is apparently named after her mother, reversing the more common patrilineal tradition. More gender role confusion. That's when Tyler shows up. He's taken the initiative to track Kate down, and Kathy, to her credit, does everything she can to put them together.
I'm fixing some food. You two okay eating outside?
If you lend any credence to the mom's new boyfriend theory, then this is a kind of do-over for the mother-daughter relationship. The mother gets another chance to bring a man into the house and unilaterally declare that he'll be staying for dinner and later staying overnight.
Not gonna bother you, Miss Gordon?
He's not staying. He's staying. I invited Tyler to stay the night in the guest room.
Mom.
But this time she finally chooses someone who's actually good for Kate.
Now, when you love something, you'll spend your whole life trying to understand it.
And yes, this is all very Freudian. Once they're sitting around the dinner table, Kathy Sr. tells Kate's origin story, and notice that she mentions thunder.
One time I was giving her a bath.
Can we not?
Maybe just a little. And we heard thunder, and she shot up out of the tub and ran out the house naked as the day she was born, and I had no idea where she was. I was terrified.
In a world where heroes are constantly defined by traits inherited from an absent parent, Kate's passion for the weather is just explained away as a virgin birth from a body of water. Which only makes me think, yeah, Kate's dad must have left the picture before all this happened. Because here she is, out looking for her sky father as soon as she's able to walk. In any case, this is the conflict phase of the atonement with the father sequence. Kate runs away to lick her wounds. Tyler comes to help. Things seem to get a little better, but then the dam finally breaks. When Tyler presses her about her tornado taming research, Kate finally admits defeat.
How did you not tell me about this before?
Because I got it wrong! In the field, in the moment, when it mattered, I got it wrong.
This takes us right into the apotheosis sequence. Tyler gently offers Kate a new way to look at her spiritual problem.
EF1 or EF5 tornado rating. It's not based on size or wind speed. The power we ascribe to it, it's based on damage. But how much more are you gonna let this thing take from you?
Although it seems futile at first, Kate digs into her old notebooks later that night. The next morning, Tyler wanders onto the cover of a romance novel. But it's not just eye candy for the ladies. Yeah, I'm gonna defend this. It's raining because Kate's emotional floodgates are now open. She catches him before he leaves and takes him up on his earlier offer.
You said you could get a new model running?
And the model suggests that they already have a working solution on their hands, so they put it to the test. This is their first play for the ultimate boon, finding out if the thing they already have is, in fact, the solution to the problem.
It's not working.
But it wasn't.
Hungry?
It's not a disaster. It just sends them back to the apotheosis stage.
What if it's the model that's the problem?
How do we create a better one?
And that brings Javi back into the story and gives him the chance to apologize to Kate.
I said what I said because I carry that guilt with me too. Every single day of my life, so I'm sorry.
Here, I'll finally pause to point out that Javi and Jeb look pretty similar. On one level, I think that Javi is basically Jeb's ghost. And in that respect, what he really feels guilty about isn't that he survived, but that he didn't. And it's not that he feels guilty for dying exactly, but that by dying, he failed to protect Kate. Now, if you think that's a stretch, we'll be coming back to it. Javi also shares an interesting connection with Tyler. The name Tyler literally means Tyler, T-I-L-E-R, or house builder. Javi is short for Javier, which is derived from Xavier, and Xavier means, drumroll please, new house. I really don't think that's an accident. But anyway, with Javi's data, they're able to build a new model and adjust Kate's elixir accordingly. In keeping with the water motif, they realize that the answer is to draw more water out of the tornado.
So we need to make it rain.
The apotheosis is complete. The Ultimate Boon Part 2 begins when they enlist Tyler's crew to help deploy the next batch of Kate's concoction. But the boon comes with a built-in complication. They don't know if it will actually work until they test it. Not only that, it also comes with a terrible price attached to it. Before they can find a baby tornado to test the formula on, they draw the ire of a major storm. This is the refusal of the return. Obviously, it's not literally true that Kate has angered the tornado goddess, but Lee Isaac Chung has compared Twisters to a monster movie, with the tornado as the monster. The point is that nature is imbued with a kind of conscious agency. This isn't too crazy of an idea. We see it in movies all the time. But Chung goes further and describes the flaming tornado as a reincarnation of the same tornado that claimed her friends. And now it's come back to finish the job. He also explains that one of the reasons he chose to show Frankenstein during the movie theater sequence was to reinforce the idea of a monster being born. In this case, being born from a storm when he's hit by lightning, just like Kate's obsession with the weather. But why should storytellers want to anthropomorphize a natural disaster? And why is it returning with a vengeance right now? Well, the answers are related. My first rule of dream interpretation is that every person, place, and thing you encounter in your dreams is, in whole or in part, a facet of your own psyche. So the best disaster movies are actually showing us not just man versus nature, but man versus himself. Which leads us to the answer to the second question. The shadow seems to pull out all the stops right as you discover the real solution to the problem because it's a part of you, and it knows what you know and what you're trying to do.
Or maybe I knew you'd know, so I spent the whole day thinking about the wrong ones.
From the shadow's perspective, to be integrated into the self looks like death, and it doesn't want to die.
Oh, heavens no, not the green one.
Here, during the refusal of the return, Javi is also tested. After escaping the fire tornado, he wants to head back into town to help, but his sidekick Scott tries to hector him into submission.
We need to go, Javi! Stop the damn truck!
Javi, to his credit, passes the test. The magic flight begins when Kate and Tyler arrive in El Reno and help shepherd the people to safety. But it doesn't take long before Kate and Tyler need a rescue from without. Tyler is trapped under a pile of debris and Kate can't lift it on her own. And what's that threatening to crush them both? A massive water tank that's bursting at the seams. First we had too little water in the swimming pool, now we have too much in the water tower. That's when Javi shows up and saves them both using the same trick that Jeb uses to write the trailer. This is the other main reason I see Javi as Jeb's ghost, with Jeb being the false father. He comes back to give Kate permission to grow up, to break away from her gender-fused single parent, and form a healthy relationship with a worthy suitor. For the record, Owen, Tyler's last name, means noble-born or well-born. Again, this same beat occurs in Happy Gilmore, when Grandma Gilmore gives Happy permission to become his own man.
I just want you to be happy, darling.
Once they're clear of the debris, the trio takes shelter in the movie theater with some of the townsfolk, only to find that it can't protect them from the storm. This means that it's up to Kate to risk it all in a final confrontation with her trauma. Only she can tame the storm, because the storm is her. But she borrows Tyler's magic chariot to do it, which has the special ability to remain grounded in the midst of great chaos. Once inside the eye of the storm, she releases the elixir of life. She lets go of the steering wheel and trusts her fate to a higher power. It's a critical detail that shows we're in the realm of the spiritual, not the material. And just when all seems lost, the miracle is complete. This takes us directly into crossing the return threshold. Javi and Kate discuss their next steps at the airport when Tyler shows up to say goodbye. Their will they won't they dynamic continues into the terminal when Kate's return to the ordinary world is delayed, for the better, by an appropriate threshold guardian.
Due to increasing winds from a nearby storm, please expect delays.
Our heroes do not kiss, which is probably my biggest gripe with the movie. These two actors have a ton of chemistry, so I just don't believe they wouldn't. But anyway, we cut to the credits, only to find that the journey isn't over yet. Master of the Two Worlds begins when we see what our heroine has brought back from the extraordinary world. In this case, it's a long-form feature by a middle-aged English writer called Ben.
Doing a piece on American storm chasing. Tyler's letting me ride along.
He's another bumbling father figure who's initially terrified of tornadoes, but ends up getting a tattoo of a twister on his arm. Over the course of the story, Ben's interest shifts from Tyler to Kate, and I think that's right. To me, this feels like part of Kate's healing journey. That might be a stretch, but Lee Isaac Chung has said that Ben was originally supposed to be from New York instead of England, which would have been a nice little symmetry when Kate moves there after her tragedy. She's off looking for her absent father. The magazine article montage eventually transitions into Freedom to Live. Javi even rejoins Kate's crew, creating a new equilibrium.
Think I'll get my own face on a t-shirt? That'd be cool.
You're lucky.
That'd be really cool.
I'd wear one.
You would?
Yeah. All right, Boone, you take that back.
I find it just a little awkward and third-wheelish, but I don't think that was the intent. I think the intent was to show a new and healthier balance between chaos and order, head and heart, mind, body, and spirit. So that's Twisters. I guess I had a lot to say. If I didn't convince you of my dad-shaped hole theory, well, I hope you had fun along the way and found other details that helped you get more out of the movie. If you did, I invite you to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, or share this video with a friend. Everything helps the channel to grow. This was the 17 Stages of Story in Twisters. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.